I have a pleasure to be here in Sonoma in person with Randy Ullom, the chief winemaker of Kendall Jackson. Hi, Randy.
How are you?
Hola. It's an honor to be here. You started in winemaking in the same time that American wines were exploding in the world after the judgment from Paris.
Correct.
Tell me your history since then.
Well, when that first happened, I was actually living in New England and worked in New York, and then I realized that the best place to be to make wine was in California, and it's been a wild ride ever since.
And what changed since then here?
Well, we've got a lot of new vineyards. We've understood where to grow the best grapes and how to make the best wine and how to really develop vineyards and grapes for quality. And it's all about cool climates and mountains.
Well, to talk about intervention in winemaking could take us for hours of talking. How do you think this can be managed? Do you are for intervention, making better wine, no matter how you have to manage this, or just let nature work?
I think it's a little bit of both. If you start with great dirt, great soils, great sites and terroir, and produce a fantastic grape and berry, that's 80% of the job. The next part is just managing or allowing the grape and wine to express themselves, and then adding in the inputs of barrels, the oak type, the amount of aging in that aspect, and the type of yeast. That's the quote intervention part, how to finely tune that. But it really all starts in the vineyard with the grape.
But don't you think wine tends to be more and more artificial in the world in general, not your wine?
I don't think that they're necessarily more artificial. What's happening is a lot of the new wine regions in the world tend to be warmer areas or cooler areas for that matter, but areas where the climate brings you sunshine every day, where the old world has coolness, it has a lot of clouds and rain. The new world is sunny and bright, and that's the big difference these days.
Well, the global heat is a big subject in winemaking today. In California, we can see that in the latest years, the wine has 2 or 3 degrees more alcohol. The same wine 10 years ago has 13 degrees, now has 15. This is winemaking plus global heat. What's happening?
That has nothing to do with global warming. Absolutely nothing. The reason the alcohol levels have gone up over the years is because we are all aspiring to make more powerful, more concentrated wines to get more flavor. To get more flavor and what we call phenolic maturity, phenolic ripeness, you have to go a little on the higher side with the bricks to get that expression versus being on the low end. So it's just a trend for riper and riper fruit. It has nothing to do with global warming.
To Californian wine and to the wine as a whole in the world, which are, do you think, the big trends now?
Well, I think what we're finding is that quality rules, so one can aspire to make the best wines possible and actually put the vineyard where it belongs to make the best grape based on the variety. 30 years ago, we planted grapes anywhere and everywhere. Now, especially thanks to phylloxera, we're learning where is the chosen spot for each variety.
Randy, tell me that story you were telling me before. That happened in 1 year you had more grapes than you thought.
Well, a couple of years ago, when we started the harvest, everyone was saying we were going to have X number of tons. Let's just say 3.5 tons per acre. And we thought, fine. We planned for that. We had the right number of barrels and tanks. And we started picking some of the vineyards, and they were coming in at 4.5, 5 tons. Well, that's 20% more than you realized. Well, for one vineyard, that's okay. For 10 vineyards, that's okay. But when you have hundreds of vineyards, and they're all coming in with more grapes than you thought, all of a sudden, all the tanks fill up, they're picking faster, and you know what to do.
What did you do?
And you start running around, renting other wineries, renting space, thinking, oh my God, how can this be? And it's really turned out to be a fantastic year, both quality and quantity, which is rare. But the excitement was in the harvest when you're trying to figure out where on earth are we going to put all these grapes. But we did it.
Which was your worst vintage of your life, and what did you do about it?
Oh, well, the worst vintage of my life was probably, I'm going to say a year ago, where we have grapes all along the cold coast of California, Sonoma, Napa, Monterey, Santa Barbara. And sometimes we'll get a winter or a summer, not even that, it's a fall rain, a harvest rain. We get the warm rains that will come up from Mexico in the south, or we'll get the cold rains that come down from Canada. Well, we had a warm rain, unexpected, in Santa Barbara. And it all came about because we had a very hot spell in the middle of the summer. So we had a little bit of botrytis out there. Well, that rain came, and the botrytis just went crazy. And then we started picking as fast as we could, and another rain came, and said, well, we'll pick anyways. Well, the rain came with lightning, so you couldn't pick. And that year just became like a war in the vineyard. How fast can we pick the grapes in an inclement weather? And so that was, I hope that never ever happens again, ever.
Amen. And now, which was the best year for you?
Well, 2001 was spectacular. 1997 was spectacular. These are years where the yields are spot on or a little lower, where we have a beautiful, beautiful growing season, where it takes a long time to get the grapes right, and we have that infamous, famous hang time, where the longer it takes to get ripe, the better they're going to be. 97 was spectacular. 2001 was spectacular. And then actually, this year and last year, we're great, except in Santa Maria. But we've had these long growing seasons. So when I go back and look historically, 01 and 97, beautiful.
And about 94, it's famous.
Well, that 94 also. But the reason I don't mention 94 is because though I worked for Kendall Jackson in 94, I spent more time in Santa Barbara and Mendocino. And it was more, I was in these different pockets. I wasn't in charge of everything then, not till 97.
Okay. Tell us about Zinfandel. What are the main characters of this grape?
Well, Zinfandel, first of all, a little bit of the history. We believe it came from Croatia to Italy to California. The Italians planted it on all these dry hills up in Mendocino and Napa and Sonoma and down south. Zinfandel is kind of the American grape, so to speak, or American/Italian. Kind of America puts their flag on it. And Zinfandel, since it was brought over in the early years and it was dry farmed, it produces a very powerful red wine with a lot of spice. It has a lot of cinnamon, a heck of a lot of strawberry and raspberry flavors. It's very dark red, very concentrated, because these are old vines with no irrigation.
And which is the best terroir for Zinfandel?
The Russian River Valley and the Dry Creek Valley and the mountaintops in Mendocino are the best.
Hot?
No, cool. Relatively cool. And Russian River is cool, Mendocino's cool, Dry Creek is warm. The reason that it does well in the cool areas is because they would interplant amongst the Zinfandel other field varieties or field blends. So when they would pick them, they'd have a blend. And they would put golden shastless, which is actually a white grape but very low in acid. And they would use that to lower the acid level. But then, because it's white, they would also have Alicante Boucher planted out amongst the Zinfandel, which is also known as Tintorera. It's a very dark grape, and it's one of the few grapes in the world that when you squeeze the juice, it comes out reddish black. Normally it's clear. So they would have Zin, they'd have Shastless to lower the acid, they'd have Tintorera to get the color back, and a little Carignan for good luck.
And is common to correct acidity in Zinfandel?
The what?
Correct acidity?
That was what the Shastless was for, because in the cool area you would have higher acids. But the Shastless, when it's being picked, it has a very, very low acid, so that's why they would blend that in.
And I tried some zinfandels here today and yesterday, and not in all, but in almost all of them, I found some aromas very typical, like chemical, that remembered me a little bit of pinotage.
Well, it can get.
It is from the grape or it is from the winemaking?
Well, it shouldn't be chemical. It should be raspberry, strawberry, and these spices. There shouldn't really be a chemical aspect per se.
I tried one of these. After some aeration, it went away.
Okay, well that's just a wine that's not technically correct. There should be no chemical compounds in Zin.
Okay. Randy, how do you think Brazilians will appreciate American wine?
Well, I think that what America can bring to Brazil are some wines with a lot of fruit, a lot of flavor. They're easy to drink, they're pleasant to drink, and hopefully everyone's going to love them down there. Because when we make wines here, the fruit just leaps out of the glass, so you don't need a PhD to enjoy them.
Randy, your taste for caipirinha is notorious here, I know. Have you tried this in Brazil?
Yes, I have. I feel like I've become an expert in caipirinhas. I've had caipirinhas in Sao Paulo. I've learned all about cachaça, from the average cachaça to the ultra elite cachaça. And I've also had an opportunity to enjoy a multitude of caipirinhas in Rio along the beach,
nice,
where they
nice.
taste like water.
We Brazilians feel very happy to have our drink so popular.
Well, I would like to extend an invitation to everyone in Brazil that if you have an opportunity to come up to California and America, specifically Sonoma County and Napa or Santa Barbara, please come look us up. We have tremendous views, tremendous vineyards, great food, great wine, great people. We've got some beaches, though the water's really cold.
You got even caipirinha?
And we have caipirinhas here in Healdsburg, 3 great places. I'll personally take you to every one if you'd like. But please come and visit so you can understand our passion, see the people behind the wine, see the vineyards, see the terroir, and just have a great old time. So please, if you have a chance, come and visit. Please come and visit so that we can extend the same gracious hospitality as everyone in Brazil extended to me when I was down there several years ago in both Rio and Sao Paulo. I had the time of my life and would love to come back. Thank you. Obrigado.
Pessoal, essa foi a entrevista com o Randy, ícone do vinho americano. Foi grande prazer, uma grande honra estar aqui com ele. Randy, thank you very much. Hope to see you in Brazil again to have some caipirinha with me.
Seria placer.
Obrigado. Tchau, tchau, gente.